nose, there got rose in my cup though. Started climbing my pole, she got me locked in on cup though. Cocaine in my nose, there got rose in my cup though. Started climbing my pole, she got me locked in on cup though. Cocaine in my nose, there got rose in my cup though. Started climbing my pole, she got me locked in on cup though. Cocaine in my nose, there got rose in my cup though. Started climbing my pole, she got me locked in on cup though. nose, got rose in my cup though. Started climbing my pole, she got me locked in on cup though. Cocaine in my nose, got rose in my cup though. Started climbing my pole, she got me locked in on cup though. Cocaine in my nose, got rose in my cup though. Started climbing my pole, she got me locked in on cup though. Cocaine in my nose, got rose in my cup though. Started climbing my pole, she got me locked in on cup though. Cocaine in my nose, got rose in my cup though. Started climbing my pole, she got me locked in on cup though. Cocaine in my nose, got rose in my cup though. Started climbing my pole, she got me locked in on cup though. Cocaine in my nose, got rose in my cup though. Started climbing my pole, she got me locked in on cup though. Cocaine in my nose, got rose in my cup though. Started climbing my pole, she got me locked in on cup though. Cocaine in my nose, got rose in my cup though. Started climbing my pole, she got me locked in on cup though. Cocaine in my nose, got rose in my cup though. Started climbing my pole, she got me locked in on cup though. got rose in my cup though. Shawty climbing my pole, she got me locked in on cup though. Cocaine in my nose, got rose in my cup though. Shawty climbing my pole, she got me locked in on cup though. Cocaine in my nose, got rose in my cup though. Shawty climbing my pole, she got me locked in on cup though. Cocaine in my nose, got rose in my cup though. Shawty climbing my pole, she got me locked in on cup though. Cocaine in my nose, got rose in my cup though. Shawty climbing my pole, she got me locked in on cup though. Cocaine in my nose, got rose in my cup though. Shawty climbing my pole, she got me locked in on cup though. Cocaine in my nose, got rose in my cup though. Shawty climbing my pole, she got me locked in on cup though. Cocaine in my nose, got rose in my cup though. Shawty climbing my pole, she got me locked in on cup though. Cocaine in my nose, got rose in my cup though. Started climbing my phone, she got me locked in on cup though. Cocaine in my nose, got rose in my cup though. Started climbing my phone, she got me locked in on cup though. Cocaine in my nose, got rose in my cup though. Started climbing my phone, she got me locked in on cup though. Cocaine in my nose, got rose in my cup though. Started climbing my phone, she got me locked in on cup though. Cocaine in my nose, got rose in my cup though. Started climbing my phone, she got me locked in on cup though. Cocaine in my nose, got rose in my cup though. Started climbing my phone, she got me locked in on cup though. cup though. Cocaine in my nose, yeah, got rose in my cup though. Started climbing my pole, she got me locked in on cup though. Cocaine in my nose, yeah, got rose in my cup though. Started climbing my pole, she got me locked in on cup though. Cocaine in my nose, yeah, got rose in my cup though. Started climbing my pole, she got me locked in on cup though. Cocaine in my nose, yeah, got rose in my cup though. Started climbing my pole, she got me locked in on cup though. Cocaine in my nose, yeah, got rose in my cup though. Started climbing my pole, she got me locked in on cup though. Cocaine in my nose, got rose in my cup though. Started climbing my pole, she got me locked in on cup though. Cocaine in my nose, got rose in my cup though. Started climbing my pole, she got me locked in on cup though. Cocaine in my nose, got rose in my cup though. Started climbing my pole, she got me locked in on cup though. Cocaine in my nose, got rose in my cup though. Started climbing my pole, she got me locked in on cup though.
He's neck and neck with Lewis Hamilton. Vettel is alongside and ahead. How's that? A colossal immense bet. Sizes the opportunity. Hamilton's going to try again. This time on the inside and continental touch. Oh my goodness, this is fantastic.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Let's just hope that you can hear me here. I might need to set up a quick little game thing because it hasn't updated. But welcome to TOTL. It is it's the spring sprints, summer sprint season. It's been so many different sprint seasons. It's been a long time since we were last here on broadcast, but I'm happy to have us all back. And moreover, I'm happy to now finally be out of the car and on broadcast because, goddamn, racing standards were a real nightmare, and I was just generally quite bad. But anyway, it is a new format, a new season. I think it's 10 races, all things told. First round of which is going to be here at the Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix at Imola. And the first driver out on track in this season is going to be a Williams. That's either Jono, who is now a reserve driver, or it's Randall. I think it's Randall. Probably best that we get this this lunatic out of the way. But so far, it's going to be a very exciting season, I think. Trying to get things started again here with TOTL. There's a lot of things to still be spoken about and to still be sorted, but F1 23 has proven to be a much better racing experience than F1 22 ever was. And as such, I think we can go for a different style on this. I'm not going to do this as so much of a hard and fast commentary type thing. More of a bit podcasty, I suppose you might say. I will still commentate the bits that are exciting, but I think we'll take this as chill as we conceivably can. I will just take a quick moment to bring that up though, so I can have a restream dashboard quickly, if that's all right. And then I should be able to see chats for both. There we go. All right, so we can have a chat if you want to, really. So these guys have all been hard at work, or not hard at work, I think would probably be more to the point, practicing or not practicing for the upcoming season of the Summer Sprint. We have a couple of drivers who are not in attendance tonight, who are from previous seasons that you may recognise their names from. Previous Spring Sprint champion, Mr. Miller, not in attendance. Afro, also the same. And serial kamikaze murderer, AJ, also not in attendance this evening. As such, we have a reserve drive in from Jono, and a reserve drive-in from Just Joey HD. Randall couldn't make it round a lap and has dove immediately into the pit lane, but we have a couple of drivers here who are about to be starting laps. I think the first of which is Burnsy, now onto the PlayStation after spending seasons upon seasons on the PC and not really finding much success in any of those seasons. We'll see whether an update in hardware can change things for him in this summer sprint season. He's got a bit of traffic to negotiate here up ahead, one of the Red Bulls. I think that's likely Robbie in his way. And now looking to try and just make his way around into this second sector. Of course, it's going to show up as being purple. That has immediately been stricken away from him, though. as I think there's a McLaren also on a lap behind him. That's likely Carnosaur. But for the time being, Burnsy taking it nice and easy, making a good use of track limits, not really pushing the fold too much there, as you can see, not really stretching the limits of the track, just trying to keep it within the white lines for the time being, but braking looks good. Traction looks good. Of course, for the assists in this settings, there is plenty of assists still available. We are a pretty casual league, not overly competitive, so in the event that people are still using traction control assists and whatnot, that is still available to these guys. But on F123, with how available traction is to find, can't really imagine that's going to be a huge thing. Ali Ginge in the chat. Literally the Nico Hulkenberg of this racing series. No points scored, or only so many points scored. Anyway, Burnsy to cross the line with the opening lap. 2 seconds faster is Joshua Johnston. After saying that he's done next to no practice in the McLaren, he has slotted it in with a 15.765 to take provisional pole at the moment. We'll see who else is going to be threatening those timing screens. I think Loadsy is on a lap 2. Carnosaur in with the 14.6. That is, again, a second faster. Big disparity in times here already starting to show in short qualifying. But for Loadsy on his flying lap, I think it's just started, so we'll stick on board with it. Let's take a look. Let's criticise his apexes. Absolutely wide of one there and having to lift for track limits. Now, what are we looking at into what used to be a 4th gear bottom corner, and now it's still a 4th gear, but lots of traction. I don't know whether that's an audio bug or whether he is just revving the rears as much as that. Throwing it left into this fast sequence. Again, plenty of margin being left on the track here for Loadsy. Brandon not really taking too much out of his tyres here. Now just going to try and run it up. Bit of traction deficit on the curb there. Got it a slight bit wrong, but still going to try and throw his way in to the Variante Alpha chicane. Oh, big kick on exit. Not jokes, depending on the sponsor of the Alfa Romeo, but still, snap of oversteer, not really being all that friendly to Brandon Lodeman. Just going to throw it in now through the final 2 corners. Just see if he can get the traction down. This audio is proper weird. I don't know whether this is just Brandon absolutely throwing the car through and revving it out and trying to use the traction control to his advantage. But either way, the lap time is not particularly competitive. It is a 15.7, which only puts him just a couple of hundredths faster than Joshua Johnson, powerhouse, on his way to 7th place. Everyone else slotting laps in here. We can have a look to see that Rob's has slotted in with that 14.725. And then, of course, Zenik, that is. There are 2 Leons in this lobby. The former of which in the Mercedes is Zenik. So that's a 14.732. So close lap times for the top 3. Edster's also dropping in with a nice 14.8. But Aaron, 3-time, 4-time? I don't even know at this point. I think it's 4-time TOTL champion. Aaron Chard, not having the greatest of openings to qualifying, but never really was much of a pole hound in his day in F1 21 and 20. Really more so was a dominant force when it came to the race pace, so we might see that play out. His racecraft was usually crafty enough to get himself into some decent positions. Nico Hulkenberg, fan favourite. We're loving it. Nico is a fan favourite, so we're taking it. Yeah, fair enough. You know what? No podiums, no points scored, though. I think a little bit better than Nico. You're more of a Nick de Vries character, I think. We might say. And Loadsy's just crashed. On a cooldown lap, no less. That's embarrassing, I suppose. I don't know what just happened there, but that is an interesting moment. Final corner. And Loadsy has just crashed it. Clearly not in practice here at all. So, who's out on track? Jono out on track at the moment. I don't know whether this is a particularly fat lap. He's 4/10 down on his previous best. He's harvesting ERS, so one would assume that this is a botched attempt, not really going for it this time around, and we'll be looking for it again on his next run round this circuit. Right, here we go then. For Jono, he's into the pits. Never mind. I was getting excited, hoping that somebody might be doing a lap. This is the difficulty. So when I commentate PSGL Tier 3, you have people basically going out on laps all at the same time. But here in TOTL, the quality of driving is considerably less so. And as such, we will have people going out for laps at different times because they've managed to piss up their attempts at previous laps. Anyway, speaking of big laps, here we go. Joshua Johnston, powerhouse, the man himself, Call of Duty professional, prize winnings of just at least over £10 in the bag of crisps. Let's see what he's got to go for here as he currently sits in P9. He's been pipped to the post by Loadsy and Jono. For the time being, let's see if he's got an improvement on this lap. It looks so far so good through the first chicane, but he's got to get it sorted now for the second one, which often can be a little bit trickier through the Variante Villeneuve, as the exit on the curb can often push you on towards the gravel, but so far so good. Up into Tosa, turn 7, and that is looking like a reasonably tidy exit as he rounds in towards Sector 2 now. Now, fast rights coming up. Piratella. Very important not to get it wrong on track limits on the outside, as he just has. So that'll be a done deal here for Joshua. He'll be coming through Acqua Minerale and co here, and probably just going to sack this lap off, or at least try and give it a go to see what it could well have been. Maybe try and find himself instilled with a bit of confidence. Jay Rasta has just popped up into the top 5, but now Zenik on his lap is just rounding out of this final sector into the Ravatsas 1 and 2, and is just now going to try and barrel it down this front straight. Once he got for a lap time, a 14.5 from Zenik. It's just into the 14.5s, but he's pushing that envelope just a little bit further away from Khan, who currently leads the field, or at least did before that Mercedes put in that lap. Now, Edsters also 0.2 of a second up on his previous best. This could be a challenging lap time as he comes into Acqua Minerale. I'm going to have to negotiate the Variante Alta chicane at the end of this little straight here, but so far it's looking very good. Nearly 0.3 of a second up on his previous best. Gets it a little bit squirrely out of the exit of the Variante Alta. And now, as he comes down the hill into the Ravatsas, let's see just where this lap time is going to wind up, especially considering as that poor, or at least slightly scruffy exit from the chicane looked to be slightly problematic. It's actually gone away from him so much that he's decided to just go straight into the pit lane. So, what about Robbie Bell? What about Robs, the man himself? What's he got to offer as he comes through the first sector? Going to now try and throw his way through the Variante Villeneuve. But so far, keeping clean on the track limits. Always been a pretty proficient and prolific driver, Robs. Ever since his first season in TOTL, he had a couple of bum races, but started scoring podiums very, very early on in a Williams. I think one of the first would have been at Monaco, and from then has been a bit of a hound for them. Always lacked a little bit in the race wins department. Has had a couple here and there, but often been pipped by more experienced or veteran drivers such as Aaron Chard, Ryan Crowhurst, who's also not here this week. Jono, for example, all had the measure of Robs in the past, on the most part. Has been a championship protagonist at times, though, just never really been able to make it come through. So maybe here, in the summer sprint, where he's not going to have competition from Peter Miller straight away, can he find something to get an early start on the rest of the field? Well, through the Ravatsas, it looks pretty good, as now he strides to the line. No purple sectors thus far, but it all comes together in the final sector for a 1/10 improvement, or 1.5 improvement on his previous best, to go up on Leon by just a couple of milliseconds. Well, not even that, really. We're talking 6-7 thousandths of a second. The bettering of the time on Zenik, and now Khan, of course, going to have his stab at this too. He's now coming through the Variante Alta, and this is going to be a really tough lap because he was down 0.08 of a second at the end of Sector 2, so he's now going to have to try and find a lot of time through that chicane and now through these two left-handers at Ravatsa. That is already looking a bit wide of the apex. Again, squirrely on exit for Khan, a controller player, I still think, as now Khan striding to the line in his own right. This lap is not going to be troubling. He improves in time, but not a place. Sets a purple final sector, but the first and second sectors were not good enough to really trouble the top of the timing screens. Jono, previous Season 2 TOTL champion, up by 0.2 of a second here on his previous best lap time. That is to be believed as a purple Sector 2. Really flirting with the track limits there on Piratella. Now into Acqua Minerale. It's so easy to get it all wrong here, but Johnny riding the curbs, trying to make a meal of this one, up by 0.4 of a second now. Again, supposedly purple, throwing it through the Variante Alta chicane, and now back down the hill, shortest line of arrival in towards the Ravazzas. You see, he took that tight towards the white line. Everybody else has been sticking out wide. Now into the Ravazza he goes. That's tight, but is it quick? It's certainly tidy. It's margin on track limits. Here we go then. Run to the line. What's it going to be for Jono Nicholson? 15.054. 0.3 of a second improvement. Puts him up into P5. Really lost a lot of what was purple there into the final sector. Was close, but seriously no cigar. So, solid start from Johnny, though. As a reserve driver, can't imagine he'd have put a great wealth of practice into Imola. So, this is likely going to be as good as we're going to see it get. The more he drives the track, the better he's going to feel with it. Let's check in with the other Leon. That's not looking like a great lap from him, unfortunately. So, let's check in with Joey. Live on kick, by all accounts. Currently harvesting ERS, so I don't think this is a lap that he's pushing on, but certainly looked like he was taking that chicane with some venom. Anywho, has invalidated it at the Variante Alta, so will not be continuing on with a fast push lap here. Anyway, through the Ravazzas, he has that Alpine, of Leon behind him. If I'm Leon, I'm wanting to leave just a tad more space if we're going to go for second runs here, but I think both drivers dropping into the pit lane, leaving just Jono out on track for the time being. He is going to be the one to come into the pits here as well, last driver in. And then we're going to be waiting for everybody else to come out on track. Currently, 0.007 of a second separate P1 and P2. Zenik and Robbie Bell all having consideration in this one. And then we've got a number of drivers exiting out of the pit lane onto the track. We've got a McLaren, a Mercedes, a Ferrari, a Red Bull, all on their way out, followed quickly by an AlphaTauri. I believe that to be Bernsey, if I'm not mistaken, making his way out of the pit lane there. But let's check which McLaren that is. I think it's going to be Powerhouse. Joshua Johnson leads the field out of the pit lane, or at least leads this little quintet out of the pit lane. Not many other drivers have elected to go out just yet. With 3 minutes to go, just under 3 minutes to go, this would really be where I'm looking at trying to get my way out of the pit lane if I was still racing. I would be out about now. I'd be taking my sweet, sweet time on the out lap, finding the perfect amount of space for me to just chill with, and making sure I had no fuel left on the run. That's what I'd be doing right now. I've never really been a fan of Imola, though. And Joshua Johnson looks like he's pushing on a bit here on this out lap. Powerhouse really just trying to get his way around, putting some energy through those tyres. The soft tyres, admittedly, in F123 do last much longer than they did in F122. You can almost one-stop on circuits like Brazil with these tyres onto the mediums, if you can believe it. You have to be a little bit more conservative with your driving style, but it is entirely possible to do so. So anyway, now on with Joshua Johnson, the powerhouse himself. What's he got to offer in his final run here of qualifying? Currently sits in P12. We'll see whether this can be an improvement on his lap times. We've got traffic all around this first sector for him. 2 Alpines in close succession. They're going to be wanting to keep an eye in their mirrors here for the McLaren that is incoming. Otherwise, they'll be receiving penalties from race direction for impeding other drivers. So far, looking pretty clean, though, as he comes through Villeneuve. Now into Tosa. Got to keep the car nice and tidy on the exit. Negotiates through both Alpines relatively cleanly for now. He's got a Haas up ahead, which I believe could be either Zazel or Joey. Both these guys out on track at the moment. But so far, this lap is looking tidy. I didn't catch the Sector 1 split there. But as he exits Sector 2 here at the top of Aqua Minerale, we'll see exactly what Johnson has been giving us. He's over his lap time by over 0.2 of a second. And I think he's just been impeded there by the Haas car. So that's going to be the end of Johnston's qualifying session. We'll take a look at Bell now. Provisional pole sitter as he's starting his final flying lap through the first chicane, the Tamburello chicane. Gets it nice and tidy. Exit looks very visceral there as he throws his car out onto the exit curb. Takes as much as he can on entry into Villeneuve, but it's a bit wide of the apex on the second corner of Villeneuve. He's over his time by 0.05 of a second at present. And he's going to look to try and press that advantage, at least try and gain some of that time back into this second sector. Now, into Piratella. Lots of time to be gained here as Zenik
has laid down the gauntlet for this final run of qualifying. It's a 14-4. Edsters, though, with a 14-3-7-9 out of nowhere. What was looking to be a pretty slow qualifying, all things told, has just been ramped up considerably. Rob's currently here, only up by 0.05 of a second. Needs to find a lot of time now through the Variante Alta and the Ravazza corners. Otherwise, he is going to find himself starting on the second row if this time keeps on up. He has a little bit more margin to still go through to get onto the back of Zenik, but still has to keep pushing. Exit looks tidy. Used a lot of the track there on exit. Still trying to get it to the line. And for Robs, it's not going to be an improvement. 19 thousandths of a second. He cannot improve his time. Aaron Chard, 4-time champion here in TOTL, 3 seconds up on his previous best, must have been impeded or had an issue on this qualifying lap. He's not going to be improving his time. Khan drops in with a second place start with only just 0.03 of a second faster than Zenik. And now who else is on a lap that could potentially trouble anything? EOJ? No, that's not going to be much either. Only improves in time. I think maybe just usurps J Rasta by just a little minute. Burnsy, really the last man out on track, doing a lap over his time by 0.2 of a second. And to be honest with you, it's not looking too good. Managed to get this one tidily put away in towards the Ravazza's, not really leaving much margin on track. Very messy exit there on the second Ravazza. And as such, he's going to just drive into the pit lane. And that will be it. It is Edsters who takes pole in the inaugural round of the summer sprint here in TOTL. And not by a pretty short margin either, just by under 0.1 of a second. Gets his way ahead of Khan, ahead of Zenik, ahead of Robbie Bell, ahead of Jono Nicholson and Aaron Chard. A lot of champions, a lot of race winners, a lot of pedigree in that top 6, but it is Edsters, a promotion from what used to be this Division 2 of Season 6, has now been popped into Division 1 here and takes pole here for the summer sprint. Great effort. And as such now, I think it'll be time once this car is wheeled into the garage and we get to see these times. Just 0.07 of a second between Edsters and Khan. Leon a further 0.1 of a second back and another 0.1 back for Robbie Bell. And then a big, big gap to the rest of the drivers in the field in the 15s. Only 4 drivers pushing the 14 envelope today. As it is, though, the race is an entirely different beast. We'll go to a short break, and when we get back, we'll be back with the race. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we are back. It's race time here, and it is wet in Imola. Are we going to have a good race? Is it going to be straight fire? We will soon see, as this is looking like one hell of a star. As immediately off the line, Edsters gets a good run. Soft tyres out in the wet here. This is going to be a limited adhesion race at the start. I don't know whether the weather's going to clear up. Still a feature of the Spectator that we don't have. Anyway, it's been an absolutely diabolical start for Leon. As we look at the tyre situation, it's going to be Edsters out here on the softs, the only driver out on track on those tyres. He's going to have so much more heat than everybody else in these opening laps. It's carnage further back afield. A gap already opening between P4 and 5. As Zenik is already holding up the charging Aaron Chard on those medium tyres. Definitely got more heat in him already as he's throwing it up the inside of Piratella. Out on the curb goes Leon once again. It's not looking like a great start for Zenik at all from P2, or sorry, P3, all the way down into a spin at Aqua Minerale. Manages to control the car somehow, but Adam Lockett Phaser will take control of P6 for the time being and will move in to a commanding position ahead of that hard-running Mercedes. Still, a rough start for the boys up front. Jay Rasta already left the session for some reason. Not sure what's happened there. But up front, Khan has got to do everything he can in these opening laps to make sure that Edsters doesn't get too far away. Those soft tyres are going to be such an advantage in these turbulent, tumultuous conditions. Especially when Khan has got these hard tyres strapped on. He's going to have so little grip, so little heat. Already a little bit of a lock up in towards turn 1 there. He's got a lot of work to do, but maybe as this race transpires, he will get a little bit more advantage back on those hard tyres. Burnsy into the pits. Zenik into the pits for intermediates, no less. I'm not sure if it is intermediate conditions. These guys are sticking it out here on the hard and slick tyre compounds. Whether it's going to dry up, I don't have that information available to me right now. But this is so far looking like one heck of a start. We've got an altering of strategies pretty much everywhere on track. We'll keep an eye on Zenik and Burnsy's lap times to see whether they have anything in the tank here against their competitors. But just as a testament to how wacky this start has been, we've got Joey and Zazel, who've both made their way up into P7 and P8 at present. The Haas drivers in these pretty woeful conditions have managed to find their way up through the grid, up through 7 positions each, and now they're acting as the cork in the bottle for what has been some statistically better drivers behind them. These are the conditions in which old man Mikkel has made his hay while the sun has not shone before. I remember seasons ago back at Baku, where Mikkel managed to have a commanding advantage pretty much an entirety of a wet race because he was able to keep it on the track, keep it on the black stuff for pretty much all of these laps. And now here goes Mikkel up around the outside of Zazel, using a bit of the battery to do so. And he may even have a look here at the inside of Joey, but thinks better of it on the entrance into turn 1. A little bit of a snap on the exit, and that might give Zazel an opportunity, an invitation to come back at Mikkel up the inside. But no opportunity knocking here at Villeneuve. A bit of exit curb and a bit of entry curb taken for Zazel on both occasions there. And now into Tosa, miles wide of the apex. It's not going to... It looks so sketchy out here for these drivers. Huge snap on exit again for Zazel, as now Mikkel sets his sights on Joey up ahead. 5 seconds adrift already. Joshua Johnson is just going to try and punt it up the inside here of Zazel. Seems to have done so with a pretty okay move. I don't know whether there was contact. I missed it. But into the Aqua Minerale complex of the track, he's managing to make those mediums work as he now huds down Mikkel just up ahead. At the front of the field, as you can see, Khan is not letting Edsters get away too quickly. He's got that gap back down within a second worth of time now. And we'll see whether this ends up coming of anything. 0.8 of a second. Is Khan just burning his battery here? Let's take a look at the telemetry. Lots of battery being burned. Safety car out on track at the moment. I'm unsure as to the reason. Has somebody had an accident? I think they have. It's Loadsy who's had an accident. It looks to me coming out of... where is he currently? Coming out of Villeneuve? Has he had an accident? Loadsy's got a drive-through penalty now for speeding under the safety car. I don't really know what good it is now slowing down, unless your delta is massive, but... Drive-through penalty for Loadsy. This is not the start that he was looking for. I'll be interested to see what people do on strategy now. Whether people are going to look to go for different tyres. Maybe we're going to see people hop onto the intermediates. Like I say, I don't know how long this rain is going to persist for. So we may have A little bit of a worry coming up ahead here. Anyway, with the safety car, that really neutralizes the advantage that Edsters had at the beginning of this race. Definitely not the kind of experience that he would have been looking for. With those soft tyres, he was really looking to try and make a breakaway while the track conditions were still going to be pretty temperamental. And as such, that advantage that he had managed to gather had been neutralized by Khan anyway, but is now going to be neutralized tenfold by the safety car coming out here. Loadsy has gone into the pit lane. I'm guessing for a new front wing. He's already made a stop, actually. And that won't clear his drive-through, I think, because he's taking a pit stop. Edsters, anyway, is driving into the pit lane here. We will see what comes of this one for the man. He's going onto the hard tyres already, clearly thinking this rain is going to clear on up and he can go to the end of the race on this tyre compound. So, we'll see what comes of this here for Edsters. But for Khan, he's going to have the quicker tyres regardless at the end of the race if the rain is stopping. Certainly is less frequent rain right now. As you can clearly see, there's only a few droplets in the air. Not quite as heavy as it was when we first started racing today. So Edster's going to take the time onto the safety car here to get these tyres warmed up. The track is still going to be a bit greasy for the first few laps of the safety car here. And Edsters has come out in P12. He's going to be behind so many different drivers. Jono, 5-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane, as he comes in off these mediums that he started, or at least has pitted on. I don't know. Strategy's going wild here. Jono's coming into the pits, putting on the hards. I think started on the... I don't know what he started on. I've barely kept track of this, to be honest with you. It's a crazy race so far, especially with the weather being involved too. Loadsy is caught currently in the middle of this safety car queue. He's going to have to overtake the cars in the queue, despite the fact that he caused this safety car. And is going to have to go down the pit lane again for that drive-through penalty. So at the moment, under the safety car, let's take a quick stock of how things are playing out here. We have 4 laps completed. Khan currently leads the race after Edsters has pitted off those soft option tyres onto the hard tyres, of which I think he's going to try and make the rest of the race on that compound. He's got a lot of cars to try and overtake, but has had a free stop basically within this safety car period. Khan sits on those 5-lap-old hards, same with Robbie Bell that he started onto, and then Aaron Shard behind. Probably one of many people's favourites coming into this season, despite the fact that he hasn't really been playing F1 too much lately. Still going to be looking to try and make this work on the medium tyres. I think the strategy for Aaron here will be to go on these mediums for as long as he can. And then maybe, if he can stretch them long enough, switch to the softs. But if not, happily go onto the hards at the end of the race. Because basically in this game, the tyres have a pretty big delta when they've started to fall off. So medium tyres, for example, that are like 10 laps old, 15 laps old, will probably be slower than that of hard tyres of the same duration. I know that makes sense in real life, and it is usually the case, but really the thing that happens here is way more pronounced in F1 23 than it has been in previous games. In F1 22, the tyre delta was not necessarily so massive, but here in F1 23, undercuts are particularly good. Tyre wear is very effective of lap time. And as such, it's very important to keep abreast of what tyres your competitors have on and also what strategy you're going to be running on here. So we've already got a few different strategies in the mixer here today. Jono has actually strapped on a pair of medium tyres that pair of hard tyres that he was using at the start of the race. Went on to mediums for a lap and is now going to try and, I guess, go to mediums to the end. I'm not sure, but either way, he's got a long way to catch up to the queue, so he'll be using these tyres a little bit here as he tries to run to the back of the queue. I think we're going to have another lap worth of safety car. I haven't seen any notifications suggesting that the safety car's coming in. But at some time or another, if I'm Loadsy, I'm going to be wanting to wait for this safety car to come out. Oh, sorry, to go back in. Take my drive-through penalty immediately, because obviously you can't take your drive-through penalty whilst the safety car is out. very excited to be back here, to be honest. I've been doing F1 commentary for a little while. I'm doing some PSGL, WOR, Tier 3, Tier 2, social races, all that kind of stuff. But really, nothing is quite like home. Nothing is quite like where you get your start in league racing in TOTL. And this is absolutely, if you are a first-time viewer here or a friend of somebody that is watching, this is absolutely the place that you would want to be. If you are a amateur driver who likes a bit of the F1 game but doesn't really want to practice with no racing line and all that kind of stuff to have a bit of competitive racing during the week, like all these other leagues expect you to, this is hard and fast, pretty much one of your best options to have casual yet competitive racing. There are some assists still on. You've got some racing line assists still on, so you know where your braking points are without doing too much practice. If you want to have a go, feel free to sign up. The more drivers we get, the more divisions we'll run. It's live stewarded, points are allocated, full championship. We've done prize pools before for race wins and for race championships too. So that's definitely not out of the question moving forward. It's definitely something that we're interested in looking back into as we start to revitalize the history and the pedigree and everything else that comes around TOTL racing. Anyway, as it is, quick advertisement for us all. Next weekend, we'll be doing the Endurance TOTL team. We'll be doing the 24 hours of Spa on iRacing. But anyway, let's not get too wrapped up with slower GT3 cars. Let's get into this race restart. Carnosaur, currently Bilal Khan, multiple race winner, who I've had the better of at 2 occasions in Japan. Wink, wink. Is going to take this restart, and he gets a decent drop there on Robbie Bell. Manages to pull away from him 0.5 of a second, and as such now it looks like Bell's going to try and strap on the afterburners. A bit further back though, Aaron Chard has been caught napping. Adam Lockett down the inside into turn 1. It's going to be a double move as Joey tries to make the move on Aaron Chard. Around the outside he's going to have to go, pushes him a little bit, but it's all fair and foul in rubbing racing as now Aaron has to set his sights on Adam Lockett, who has ignored yellow flags apparently, and is now going to get a 5-second penalty. That will certainly be reviewed after the race, but we can take a look at that one later on. For the time being, let's play it out as if Adam has a 5-second penalty. As now through Tosa they go up the hill. They're going to try and ascend in towards the Piratella. As now Aaron looking dangerously menacing in that Aston Martin's rearview mirrors. Both these guys have the same medium compound tyres on here, so they're going to be looking to try and hunt down these front two. Aqua Minerale, Aaron makes up so much time on the brakes, much more daring in these drying conditions. As he now drives up to the back of Adam, trying to get his way through. He's got the not Piratella, is it? It's the Ravazza, that's the name of the corner. I've said it so many times, I've already forgotten it. But up towards Ravazza, he's coming now. DRS is not going to be enabled for another lap here, so Aaron really going to need to make this move work with nothing more than his wits and skill alone. Great exit off the second Ravazza, applies the battery, and now makes his run all the way past Phaser, down the front straight. A big defense offered up, not really there from Phaser, just doesn't really use much of his battery to defend against Aaron. Coming back on him on the outside though, Aaron has to take a defensive line into the first chicane, into the Tamburello chicane, and now up towards Villeneuve. These two will still try and stick it out with each other. Lockett still tries and holds strong with Chard, but for the time being, Chard holds it round the Villeneuve chicane and is now going to look to try and gallop towards the back of Robbie Bell, an old adversary, and Bilal Khan up front too. These two have history. They have a lot of friendship between them too, camaraderie, fellow Ferrari fans, but only one can drive the Ferrari car this season. As Aaron looks to try and run and hunt on down. He's already made a huge break away from Phaser. It's just clear that he was caught napping at the restart. And now the sun comes out too. This track going to dry the grease off of it. And the grip is only going to get higher and higher. And if these medium tyres are still operating well from all those laps behind the safety car, then maybe, just maybe, this could be a great opportunity for the 4-time champion. But Loadsy has brought out his second safety car of the Grand Prix. This time by having a big old whack with the wall. I'm not quite sure what happened. But it's out of the Variante Alta chicane, I think. No, it's not. It's out of Villeneuve again. Is it out of Villeneuve again? Oh, it can't be. I'm not looking at that. I'm looking at where this... Yeah, it was out of Villeneuve, I'm sure. Out of Tosa. I think it was out of Tosa at the top of the hill. Or bottom of the hill, sorry. Loadsy What has happened here, my son? Anyway, this will present a very interesting opportunity here now behind the safety car. We're 10 laps deep inside of this race. 32 laps total, so we've got 22 more laps to go. Is anybody going to look to dive into the pits here? Worst experience of your life, Brandon? Is that because you didn't practice or because you're shit? Feels weird swearing on broadcast. I'm in commentator mode, but it's my own league and we're going for more of a casual approach to the broadcast, so why not? Practiced and you're still shit. You've had 2 crashes. Didn't you win Imola in the spring sprint, Brandon? Wasn't that your 1 race win? Can't get the hang of the wheel on the F1. Ah, that's fair, that's fair. It is going to take some time, mate. If you're going in on no traction as well, it's definitely going to take some time. I would recommend medium straight away. You've won 3. God damn. Haven't won as many as me, though, have you? I have been racing almost twice as long as you have, though. My conversion record wasn't very good. I came runner-up in 3 championships. Never won any of them. Imola, Zandvoort, and Brazil. I think I remember the Zandvoort race. I don't remember the Brazil one. So, safety car. We've seen a couple of drivers drop into the pit lane here. We've seen Joey, Leon, Phaser onto the hard tyres. That's conflicting to what Aaron Chard is doing at this stage in the race. Randall, EOJ, and yeah, that's it. That's the drivers who have dropped into the pit so far. Now, I'll be interested to see if players like Joey and Leon and Randall and EOJ are actually anticipating going onto these mediums for the rest of the race. I'm curious to see. I would recommend, Brandon, that you actually just stick to the wheel. In time, you will be quicker. And it's going to be better for you to do endurance races if you're doing F1 stuff as well. It's just all the same input. You get the hang of when to take apexes and stuff, especially if you turn off racing line or anything at any point. For example, the Spa 24 that we're doing next weekend, you can't have racing line on. You have to know your braking points. It turns the racing line off by default. I don't know whether you knew that, but if you've been practicing with racing line on, you got to turn it off. Jono did tell you. Thank God. Jono is our Lord and Saviour of all things Enduro. At the moment, he's not our Lord and Saviour of all things F1. He's got a 5-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane, and he is also in P9. Anyway, race restart. Let's cook. Carnosaur off the line. Let's go. He's got a great start, but one person who hasn't is Robbie Bell. He's going to get a big dose of Ferrari here. Both of them using their battery. Bell holds on, but it's a punt in the rear from Chard. And now Bell just kind of keeps the car stable long enough for Aaron to have to reconsider this one as he goes into the Variante Villeneuve. He got a good run out of there, though, did Robbie Bell. I think these tyres might actually be doing him a few favours here. These hard tyres will hold on a lot longer than these mediums will. But now up to Torsa and Piratella. Chard still hounding him from behind. And just as a quick note here, one man who pitted early was previously your race leader, Edsters, is now all the way back in P4 here. He's managed to fight his way back on through. And as such, I think this could be an opportunity for him to get back up to these front runners. Of course, none of these guys up front have pitted, and Edsters is going to have a huge advantage, providing there's not another safety car in this race. But as we know, Ryan Randall is still in the race. There's still a risk of a safety car. Aaron absolutely getting everything about Piratella wrong there, as he now comes into... Oh, sorry, not Piratella. Was that... I don't even know where we are on track. I think that was Variante Alte. As now we're in the Ravazzas. There is a yellow flag out in Sector 3. I think it is a Haas that has caused that yellow flag. I'm not sure. Either which way, there is a little battle going on here between Burnsy and Joey. They are... Okay, never mind. There's not so much of a battle. I think they both had a little bit of an accident, and they're both driving into the pit lane. Okay. Anyway, another VSC. Fantastic. We're gonna have so many of these. Even with reduced safety car frequency. We've had 2 safety cars and 2 virtual safety cars. It's not looking good, Bev. Thankfully, the VSC shouldn't really last any longer than a lap here on the F1 game. So we will get to see whether Mr. Aaron Chard can do anything. Bloody hell. Randall, how many penalties do you want, man? Let's have a look. Where am I going? 13 seconds worth of penalties. A drive-through penalty for Phaser for speeding under the VSC. That's not great. Anyway, we're off and running again. VSC is over. And Aaron is on the charge, trying to hunt down Robbie Bell once again. But at the moment, at the front of the field, Carnosaur is still clear and gone. Nearly over a second off of that VSC restart. And if Robbie lets him get outside of that 1 second time window, he's going to find himself in a world of hurt. Speaking of world of hurt, here is that DRS enabled. So Khan has a little over a lap to get through and get out of this DRS window from behind. And Aaron has a little under a lap now to get his way into the DRS of Robbie up ahead. Meanwhile, Edsters, just a little bit behind these guys, is still very much in this fight. Meikle too, but admittedly not really got the same amount of experience in the game, I imagine, as Edsters has in this first race meeting. Speaking of which, Joshua Johnson has just taken a move up on Meikle for this opening position. And now Jono is looking like he's trying to make a move here on Zazel. Around the outside, Jono's going to try and do it here at Torsa and has done so. Jono holds on, and now coming into Piratella, he's going to make that move stick nicely. Jono here, despite the fact the 5 second time penalty will be applied after the race for speeding in the pit lane, is really trying to make up some ground. On those hard tyres, he's going to be looking to probably go to the end on them by all accounts. He's got Meikle up ahead, a driver who, in all fairness, he probably should dispatch off pretty quickly. Johnny, one of the fastest drivers on out-and-out raw talent. Just whether he has the practice or not is what differentiates him from the rest of the field. But really up there, I rate him extremely highly as a teammate, as a friend, as a driver. Absolutely top guy, top journalist, top driver, and doing a fantastic job here. There's a yellow flag out in Sector 3, hopefully not enough to cause a safety car of any capacity, but Edsters setting the fastest lap of the race as Aaron has been done by Edsters into Turn 1. I completely missed how close Edsters had managed to get to Aaron here. Of course, Aaron now on these 14-lap-old medium tyres is really going to be struggling at this stage in the race. He's nearly at half race distance on these medium tyres, and he's going to surely want to try and drag them out a little bit longer if he wants to get on towards the softs. But my bet surely has to be that he's going to try and go onto those hard tyres for a big stint. For the time being, though, these mediums are looking rough as a bear's arse. He is losing time hand over fist to Edsters, lost time hand over fist to Robbie Bell, but that's not going to matter too much here, as Robbie Bell is under threat from Edsters, and Jono is threatening menacingly in those rearview mirrors of Meikle up ahead. He has another Williams, which is Randall, a lap down inside of him, ghosted, but Jono here is going to be looking to make the charge as they come into the Ravazza corners down the bottom of the hill. Leon has just made an overtake on Zazel behind this pair. In fact, as Zazel made a mistake because he's gone a bit further back. I think EOJ and Leon both gone past him here. As now we're looking at Jono. Can he make the move down the main straight? He's lost a bit of time to Meikle through the Ravazza corners. And Edster, conversely, up front, if you look at your Delta, has lost a bit of time to Robbie Bell as well. Aaron still sticking outside of that DRS window. Not a lot of drivers too close together on track at this time. But Jono still sitting comfortably behind Meikle for the time being. These drivers take a look at their tyre ages. Johnny has made 2 stops. He's gone from the hards that he's on currently to a set of mediums back onto this same set of hard tyres. He's got Meikle up ahead of him, who is yet to make a pit stop off of these hard tyres. And we'll see just how that is going to fan out for the Scotsman, as Johnny's got Randall driving straight through him on these medium tyres. A bit more pace, considering he doesn't have to really do too much of worrying about cars in front of him while he's ghosted. So Mikkel here, still going to be under threat. Up front, Robbie is pushed into the DRS of Khan, and as such, so has Edsters pushed into the DRS of Bell up ahead too. So this is going to be a difficult situation to negotiate here for the race leaders. They're now going to find themselves in a three-man DRS train. Who is going to reserve their battery? Who's going to hold their time, bide their time, wait their turn? I think it's going to be Edsters, really. He knows he's on a different strategy to these guys. Took the soft tyres at the start of the race, already has made his pit stop. And now for these guys, Khan and Bell, they're both going to be on these hard tyres for a little bit longer before switching over, inevitably, to the mediums. The mediums are at 70% by lap 16-17. Aaron Chard must be a wizard then if he's not screaming or risking a puncture by this time in the race. Anyway, further back, Jono still hounding onto the back of Mikkel, but Mikkel has found his feet here a little bit after driving his first laps, really, of F1 23. He's up behind Joshua Johnston, who's also on those absolutely pitifully butchered medium tyres. As they come through Piratella, you really see the difference in minimum apex speed between these medium tyres and these hard tyres. This is what I was talking about with just the difference that can happen in tyre age with these cars and this handling model and tyre wear model in F1 23. Now through the Variante Alta, Mikkel taking a fair whack at curb, but not really getting the car straightened up the way that he'd have wanted to on exit. This has turned into a four-way fight now, as EOJ has crept up to the back of Jono here. He's not threatening a move and has actually just gone on a little bit there at the first Ravazza and has pretty much put himself out of this fight for a little minute. But here we go, on board with Mikkel. He's going to be looking to try and make the move on his former teammate, Joshua Johnston. Down the inside, Michael Valentine makes the move. Recently going to find himself in P5. Recently going to find himself out of a job. But so far, looking for a job with the Alpha Tauri team, as that is a great move, getting himself up into P5. And I think Jono is going to be looking for a similar move shortly, as these guys are looking like they really, really want to get past Powerhouse here any second. Powerhouse definitely struggling on those medium compound tyres. He was out on the gravel there a little bit on the exit of Villeneuve, now up through Torsa. He's looking like he's got a little bit more straight line speed than Mikkel at the moment, but I don't think that's really going to matter as you come through Piratella and Agua Minerale, where you don't really have much of an opportunity to use that speed. Jono's still looking to try and find a way by these guys. He's been hounding Mikkel for laps now, and now has got a McLaren in between the pair of them. I think Jono feels as if he might have a bit more pace to get on with these guys, but has just got a 3-second time penalty to add to his woes. It is cut there at the Variante Alta chicane. Now, down the hill, Joshua Johnson still managing to keep a decent enough gap, and also, of course, remind you, will be in the DRS here of Mikkel, which will give him an opportunity to defend from Jono behind. Jono is in the wheel tracks, though. Has a little bit more battery to expend. Is not going to go and use all of it. He sees that flashing light, though, from Powerhouse up ahead, as Mikkel has dove into the pit lane. There's no overtake on here for Jono. Gets mightily close to Powerhouse under braking, but still no move yet to be made. Jono surely going to be frustrated, losing time to Aaron up ahead. 7 seconds the gap between these guys now, stuck behind these old medium tyres. He's got to make a move soon, otherwise this race is going to fall by the wayside for him. We'll see where these hard tyres end up by the end of it too. Whether Jono is going to make another pit stop, because strictly speaking, he has used 2 tyre compounds at this stage in the race. So what's going to be done here? Experienced head on these shoulders at Williams. Is he going to find a sensible way by, or is he going to find a explosive way by? No mistakes being made here, though, by Powerhouse. A very, very tidy lap so far. A very, very tidy race, admittedly, so far from the Northern Irishman, as he's now looking to try and find his way into a comfortable P5. Obviously, Mikkel has since pitted, and now that leaves him vulnerable. Without DRS, Johnny surely going to be looking for a way by this lap. And if I'm Powerhouse, I'm surely going to be looking for a pit window or something this lap. 18 laps on these tyres is surely going to be enough. But it's Johnny who peels into the pits here ahead of his competitor on those medium tyres. He goes into the pit lane to inevitably get that set of mediums that he put on earlier back on the car. So this is going to be an interesting strategy. We'll see where he comes out in comparison to Mikkel, because the undercut here in F123 is extremely potent if you can get these tyres warmed up. And Johnny clearly trying to defend from that undercut on Mikel here, or maybe even try and find a way to make this into an overcut. But I don't think it's going to have worked out for Nicholson, as he's going to find himself not just behind not just behind Mikel, but also behind Joey. Anyway, at the front of the field, I've completely missed it, but this battle for the lead is spiced on up, because Robs has taken the lead from Khan, and now they're in a three-way scrap. 2 Red Bulls, 1 McLaren, and then a Ferrari 5 seconds back. It really is just these guys who play for it all at the moment. You've got to remember as well, if Edsters attempts to go to the end on these tyres, he is really going to be quite slow towards the end of the race too. So let's keep an eye on whether this is going to be a 2-stop or a 1-stop for Edsters here. But anything is possible. Khan is in the DRS here of Robs, and he's going to look to make a move. Doesn't want to sit behind any longer. Goes down the inside into the Tamburello chicane. Robs is still going to try and hang it round the outside, but has to concede position. And now Edsters is also back in the mix with him too. He's actually leapfrogged his teammate here up in towards the turn, the Villeneuve variante that they go. Bell is really lost out here on this straight, and if that is, I'm not mistaken, is that drops of rain returning to the track here at Imola? That better not be, otherwise we're about to find ourselves all on intermediate tyres. That could be the reason why drivers like Joshua Johnston and Aaron Chard have stayed out so long on these medium tyres. If they're expecting rainfall at the end of the race, this could be the play. Stay out on these tyres as long as you can. Go to the intermediates when it tells you to do so. And then try and make up all the time that you've lost just by making those less stops than everybody else ahead of you. But these hard tyre runners up front, they really do have a little bit of an extra edge to their knife here. A little bit more sharpness to them. They've got these tyres still working. 16 laps for Edsters here on these tyres too, which means he has a little bit more pace in theory than Bilal Khan up ahead, who he's looking like he's going to make a move on here. DRS assistance. It's going to be very, very easy for him. Bilal's not really going to put up too much of a fight. Will get straight back into the slipstream to pull himself along into the Tamburello chicane. There's been an accident in Sector 3 in the Ravazzas. I believe that was a Mercedes, but now Aaron is coming into the pits. We'll see what tyres he's going to strap on that Ferrari. I wouldn't be surprised if we see him go for the intermediates early here, but he's actually gone back through on another set of mediums. That can't be right. Aaron, have you made a mistake, my boy? Because this shouldn't be the tyre selection that you're going for here. Rainfall is starting, and you really should have gone to those inters if it is going to be an intermediate race, because you have to select 2 tyre compounds, my son, and you have only selected 1 so far. Anyway, front of the field, this rain is starting to get heavier. The older the tyre, the worse they're going to feel it. And that is not being any easier for Bilal here up front. He's lost tenths over tenths there through Variante Alta. Has inevitably had to turn the battery on here down the hill in towards the Ravazzas. As Randall accrues another time penalty. He's now on the full wet tyres. I feel that is definitely premature. As all these drivers now go, DRS is still activated. And that is red light flashing there for Edsters up front. Edsters with the red light flashing, that means his battery is below 10%. And I think Bilal will know that. Khan will be looking for this overtake soon. That is Robbie Bell, by the way, who's taken the gambit. He's gone on to the... Oh, it's off the track completely there for Edsters. He's had to let Khan through, because if he came back on, it would have been carnage. Johnny with another 3-second time penalty, but Robbie Bell on the intermediate tyres. We're going to see what he's got to offer now. This Red Bull with these younger tyres look like they have it all in the window. It's Joshua Johnston, Leon, who's also gone on to the intermediates too. Lots of drivers having the thoughts now to drop onto these intermediate tyres. I think FaZe is about to go onto them. Lots of drivers in the pits. We're going to see who comes out on these intermediates. It's off the track again though for Edsters. Can't keep the car on the road, and it's into the wall for Edsters. The front wing's gone. He's crashed out of the race. The hard tyres just didn't have the grip anymore, and now the safety car comes out. Oh, what a shambles that is going to be for Edsters, as he was looking so primed for what could be a fantastic race win, or at least podium. But his ambition has outweighed his talent, and he's unfortunately gone into the wall after getting it all kinds of wrong at Variante Alta. You'll see Khan. Surely you'll see Zenek as well come into the pit lane here to put on these intermediate tyres to go to the end of the race. If the rain is going to keep up in the way that it looks like it's going to keep on coming down, these inters have to be the call now. As Khan comes into the pits, he's got such a huge advantage over the rest of the field as well. This safety car is going to absolutely nerf that advantage into... that's Leon leaving the session as well. I'm not sure which Leon though. That's the confusing part. But Edsters there has had an absolute mare. It's all gone wrong. He got it wrong twice in the same lap. Got it wrong at Villeneuve. Got it wrong at Aqua Minerale. And then got it wrong again rather catastrophically at the Variante Alta chicane. That is a really tough pill to swallow there if you are Edsters. Interestingly, Leon that disconnected is actually Zenik. And he is still out on the medium tyres in P2. And he is ghosted, of course, which means that Robbie Bell, Joshua Johnston... What is Aaron Chard up to? He's out on track, now behind the safety car, in wet conditions on hard tyres. This has to be a mistake from the 4-time champion. This has to be a mistake. Unless it's going to rain less, this has to be a mistake. Okay, Leon has rejoined. He will be resuming control of his car. Might not have binded his buttons for his menu or something? Yeah, maybe. I love that. Great driving there from Robs. Despite the fact that Leon is a ghosted car and he's just reconnected, why are you braking on track? Why are you coming to a complete stop? Sensational driving. Absolutely sensational. You would not get this anywhere else. Anyway, what was looking to be... never mind. I was about to say, what was looking to be a reasonably poor race result for Joshua Johnston, starting in P12, having a bit of a mess up with strategy and whatnot, is seemingly turning out to not be the end of the world here, as he's come up into P4. Let's have a look at the penalty situation. I think he's only got 3 seconds worth of time penalties. Randall has got more time penalties than he knows what to do with. 15 seconds currently. I simply do not have any idea what this man has been doing. He's on full wets. He is nearly a full lap behind the entire field. He is 16th. He's actually, by the way, not overtaken somebody who crashed 2 laps ago. What is going on for Ryan Randall? How does he do it? But, right, if Zenik is back in the car now, he needs to be getting into that pit lane ASAP Rocky. Because everybody out on track now, including Aaron Chard, who had an absolute mare, has gone onto the intermediate tyres. He is the only driver currently out on slicks still. And worse still, they are 20-lap-old medium slicks that wouldn't have much grip in the dry conditions as it was. They're going to have even less grip in the wet conditions. So he needs to get into the pit lane now to limit the damage that he's going to end up having. If he tries and goes to the end on these tyres, he will be in a wall. There are no two ways about it. He's already off track behind the safety car. So what will it be here? Zenik, you're off track again in these medium tyres. Get in the pit lane, strap some inters on. Good lad. There we go. Oh, we've just lost Phaser, I think. Come on! How are you doing this behind a safety car, Adam? I know it's wet, but come on, lad. Another 5-second penalty for Ryan Randall. How does he do it? That's now 20 seconds of penalties for Randall. Anyway, with Leon, as in Zenik, sorry, driving into the pit lane here, we have Joshua Johnson looking like he could be on for a maiden podium here in TOTL. Currently sits in 3rd place with Zazel, Meikle, Leon, Phaser, EOJ and Jono in the pack behind him. To be honest with you, based on what I have raced against previously and what I know from these guys, Joshua Johnson is in a very real opportunity here to get a podium. Of course, that time penalty that he has, the 3-second time penalty, is going to play a role, but it may not be as big a role as he would have originally thought. Safety car surely will be in this lap, irrespective of whether these guys have caught up or not. J Rasta, Randall, Burnsy. None of them are going to have caught up just yet. So anyway, as the safety car comes in, Bilal Khan leads the race. Will he be able to convert this into another race win to add to his tally? Robbie Bell, pretty much at the moment, is the only man who can stand in his way feasibly. But when Robbie Bell doesn't have DRS, is he even Robbie Bell? Anyway, round the final corner they go. Starting lap number 27. We have 5 laps left to race here at Imola in TOTL. It is going to be Bilal Khan across the line first with Bell in 2nd place. There's a move being made there. It is Meikle and Leon going blow for blow with Azazel in that 3 abreast. Meikle holds strong and it's a big collision. Somehow the Alpine has held on to that one. And then round the outside goes Zazel of the Tamburello chicane. Now into Villeneuve, it is going to be Zazel in P4. Is he a wet weather merchant? What do we know about this guy? Well, apart from the fact that he's streaming on kick.com, that's pretty much it. He has not raced in TOTL top divisions before, and now Joshua Johnston is going to have him behind. Of course, Johnston is already 1.3 seconds adrift of the 2 out front, but still, this is Zazel really laying down the gauntlet here for what needs to be a strong championship challenge if he wants to have a go at it. A bit messy at the Variante Alta, sorry, Agua Minerale, and as such, that lets Meikle right back through. And better still, here comes Phaser. He's still very much in the mix here, looking racy into Variante Alta. Poor exit there from Zazel too, which Phaser will be smelling. He smells blood in the water. EOJ behind as well, I think smells the same thing. They're all getting very anxious, looking to try and make a move into the Rivazza. That's not a place where you normally make a move, Adam. He's going to try and force him out of the way. That's going to be a very messy situation. 2 Alpines in behind. Leon, EOJ, both of them racing on down. Phaser, it's going to be 4 abreast coming down the straight here as Phaser turns on the battery. They all turn on the battery. Down the inside, they're on the grass. It's a huge collision. It's an absolute mess. And yet somehow they've all carried on driving. I don't understand what's going on, but EOJ comes out of that one better than anybody else. Of course, Zazel and Meikle just get away with it. They're both out in front. Zazel has 1.6 seconds worth of gap to make up to Meikle now. Meikle just kept his nose clean. Meikle's just driving on. He has nothing to worry about. What on earth have I just witnessed? What is that? Absolute carnage there towards the midfield. And now up front, Bilal Khan has put a bit of daylight between himself and Robbie Bell. Both of these two guys, lots of space between them now. And that's another move made. Joey getting repassed. Aaron on the charge here as well. I think J Rasta or Leon has just had a bit of a moment. It's actually Leon at Zenik. He's had a moment again at the, is that Variante Alta or are we down towards Agua Minerale here? I think it's Agua Minerale. He's had a moment through the fast corners. At the top, he's lost his front wing and everything. It's a safety car. Again, bloody hell, man. More safety cars. We've had more safety cars than we know what to do with. We had interesting racing there for a lap. And then another bloody safety car. For crying out loud. So, into the pits for Leon, understandably. Anyway, at the front of the field, I'm fancying a Meikle podium here. I know that Brandon said in the chat that he also fancies a Meikle podium, but I'm a believer. I'm a believer now. This race has had all kinds of drama. 4 abreast on the front straight, crashing out, but yet none of them taking any damage whatsoever. 4, I think, 4 safety cars has it been, and 1 VSC. It is truly TOTL, Turn 1 turmoil, back in full force. Bell is to steal it at the last turn. You know what? Knowing Robbie, he probably will just send it at the last turn. He is a bit of an axe murderer when he comes to having a race win. He needs to do some endurance races with us, and he'll learn some race etiquette. I know he's on a wheel. I'd love for him to join us for it, but I know that he won't. I think he's just a bit nervous about it. I think he doesn't think he'll have the confidence that he does on F1. But trust me, it is as fun and, yeah, just as good. Definitely worth getting into. Loadsy's doing it. I think he's enjoying his time on iRacing so far. Definitely better racing standards. Definitely more realistic. More variety available to you too. I'm a big ACC fan. I love the way the GTs handle on that. But yeah, I still like iRacing. I don't know why he doesn't want to touch it. He's definitely got the capabilities to do so. I really do not understand why he doesn't want to. It is really coming down with the rain there, isn't it? That is a tough old do. So, safety car is in this lap then for what will be a 2-lap shootout. Everybody here on intermediate tyres, everybody here having a go at it. Plenty of rear jostling going on. They're all trying to be side by side. This is not in the regulations, boys. Severe collision, absolute shithousery, pure nonsense. Let's not have any mess here. We want people to have a good start. We're going to try and keep our eyes on the front, but also the midfield is looking mighty spicy here because Robbie Bell is going to be the one to try and make the surge. Off this line they go. He's just waiting. He's waiting. And I think he may have gone a little bit too close to Bilal Khan because Bilal Khan has pulled the pin once again. He's got the better of Robbie Bell off the restart. No, it can't be a safety car already. Get out of here. No, it's not. Okay, we're good. Here we go. Robbie Bell looking to use all that battery in the slipstream straight up behind Bilal Khan, who goes defensive, brakes late, and goes deep into the Tamburello chicane. That's up on the inside. Beautiful racecraft. Excellent, excellent thought process there from Robbie Bell as he now relegates Khan down to P4 with Joshua Johnson taking up P2 on as Meikle up in P3. Aaron Charters retired from the session, crash in towards Tamburello chicane. Not sure what happened, whether he was taken out or whether there was some nonsense happening there. But Khan up on the inside of Meikle already, looking to now try and get the better of his teammate. Knows that he can't let sleeping dogs lie at the front, can't really get up the inside at Piratella. That's going to be absolutely bandit country. But maybe up the inside here into Agua Minerale. No, that's a bit dangerous too. We've already lost Leon as well from this final few laps. Agua Minerale, once again, a bit of a tumultuous area on track at the moment. These guys really struggling for traction. Robbie Bell still out in front. 0.8 of a second he's got here over Joshua Johnson. Johnson's really holding up Khan here. Can't find a way through the McLarens really getting in each other's way, tangling with one another. Of course, Khan actually got it all kinds of wrong there at Tamburello at the beginning, really outbroke himself and ended up letting Robs through at the start of that one. Even still now, final lap of the race is incoming. Bilal Khan is going to have to throw everything at this one if he wants to beat Robbie Bell here today. He's going to have to definitely try and get past Joshua Johnston, but he's not really making it too easy for himself. Johnston goes to the inside and gets hit into a wall. That is a disaster for Johnston. Another sad another sad twist in the tail there from Khan as he rear ends into Johnston. I don't quite know what happened. Whether Johnston broke too early or whether there was a little bit of a jolt to the inside, moving under braking, whatever it might be. Poor racecraft. But speaking of racecraft, up the inside of Torsa goes Khan. He's looking to try and make the move as they go side by side up the hill into Piratella. Robs has to concede position here, surely, as now he tries to cut back up the inside. These two side by side as they head into the Aqua Mineral complex, pushing and shoving each other to the curb up through the most tricky traction zone on the track. Everybody's had a spin there once or twice, and now Variante Alta. Has Khan done enough? Rob's not close enough to show a wheel at this stage. Late braking, beautiful exit. Yellow flags being flown all the way up the hill, but even still, Khan is not going to get beaten today. He will push Joshua Johnston out of his way. He will barge past Robbie Bell, and he will find his way, provisionally at least, onto the top step of the podium. He wins today in Imola. Whether the stewards agree or not remains to be seen. Robbie Bell comes home in second, and the 4 minutes man, Michael Valentine, with 4 minutes practice, gets P3. Adam Lockett P4, Zazel P5. Joshua Johnson with a broken wing and a dream comes home in P6, despite the penalty he had as well. Zenik finishes in P7 after a very, very tough race. EOJ in P8, Jono P9, Rasta in P10. I think maybe even as a ghost car the entire race too. But what a race that was. Lots of safety cars, lots of drama. Lots of controversy to be resolved after the race too. And for that reason, it's absolutely worth your while that you go and follow the TOTL social media channels that should be all and around. And if you can't see them, it's at TOTL Motorsport on Twitter. So you can see everything that comes out of this race. All the controversy, all the results, all the stewards' decisions, all the clips. We'll see you very, very soon. It has been an absolute pleasure to be back. I have missed it so very much to be in with the TOTL Red Racing colours and to be in with all the drama. We'll be back with you same time next week for the second round of the Summer Sprint. We'll see you then.